So welcome back to Orkney and myself, Jonathan Porterfield. This is a rather different video, but without wanting to sound like a salesman, this is a bit of a business opportunity for you guys that might want to invest in the 124 web domains I've had over the years that I had as a bit of a pension pot. And I've decided it's time to sell them. Now, I'm shortly going to have a quick interview with Fred Richards of an amazing company I've used since 2014, 2015, called 𝐒𝐔𝐁𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐏𝐓𝐈𝐎𝐍, and I'll put a link below in the description and their contact details. Basically, I've, with their guidance, bought domains over the years when EVs generally were yet to get the popularity that they have now, as an investment, as a pension pot. And I'm now knocking on the door of 60. Can't believe I'm 60 years old. And I'm looking to retire, basically. So 𝐒𝐔𝐁𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐏𝐓𝐈𝐎𝐍 is now under the umbrella, and it's been looked after by Reflex Orkney Limited. And I'm still there as a consultant to advise and direct them because I want 𝐒𝐒𝐁𝐒𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐏𝐍 to continue to succeed. But it's time now for me to sell my portfolio of web domains, URLs, and 3 websites as well. The 3 websites that, as Fred will go on to explain, that I have developed and put domains. So I bought a domain and then build a website around it. That does help with the analytics and the search engines such as Google. So the 3 websites that I run just for the purpose of maturing the domain name is usednissanleaf.co.uk, usedelectriccarsforsale.co.uk, and usedelectricvehicles.co.uk. So they're the 3 domains that I've built websites around at considerable expense, just so those domains continue to mature. Like I said, I'm talking off the top of my head, out of my hat, basically, because it's not my field, but it is Fred's field, if you like, because he runs a company called Easy Domains. That's what he does. Anyway, less than me waffling. Let's cut now through to the chat I had with Fred. So this is Fred Richards of '𝐒𝐶 Domains. So I'll put a link in the description below. Top company.
Yeah, okay.
Been with them since 2015. Is that right, Fred? More or less.
Yeah, you've over the years we've done a lot of advertising campaigns for you,
that's right.
which have worked pretty successfully as well.
This is just some invoices from 𝐒𝐶 Domains with all my domains that I've got with them, which total 119.
Yes, they do. So, yeah, and you've over the years, one way or another, you know, we've developed quite a few websites and quite a few domains for you at the end of the day.
Yeah. So just tell me your thinking that you've put through to me over the years, Fred, about picking a domain name, because people often think that you just host a website on the internet and overnight you get hundreds of thousands of people visiting it. But there's a little bit more to it than that, isn't there?
There is, yeah. I mean, first and foremost, my thoughts are, and being sort of like, dare I say it, an avid petrol head, which I shouldn't say for yourself, but being absolutely interested in the motor industry one way or another, because I'm absolutely in love with cars and motorbikes. Obviously, when we first met, the electric vehicle industry was just kicking in. Yeah, you know, nobody knew it's going to develop the way it was. And at that time, my advice to you was get hold of as many domains as you possibly can that are good. For one reason, from a portfolio point of view, for speculation, 5 years down the line, you're sitting on a domain such as newelectriccar.co.uk. And in today's day and age, I think anybody can get a domain like that. Yeah. From a traditional marketing point of view, you put it on a business card, a mug, the side of a vehicle, people will look up. They won't remember a telephone number, but if you're running around with newelectriccar.co.uk, for me, it's common sense. Yeah, you know, you'll be straight onto that and looking. The other side of it is from a search engine point of view. If you've got somebody who can pour money into that to develop it, put websites around it, social media campaigns, you know, Google advertising, whatever. To me, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, you know, now going back to the cost of the domain, it's New Electric Car. You know, how many dealers deal with new electric cars who want to advertise on that term? Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I just from a speculative point of view, you've had that nearly 6 or 7 years as well, and we've matured it. Well, you know, from a speculative point of view, I don't think in today's industry, from you can tell me, I don't want to teach you how to suck eggs, you can tell me, but it's what you guys primarily do. You electric cars, and you're sat on the domain. Yeah, you know, it's a good domain from my point of view. You know, it's excellent. That's just one. That's just one I've picked out. Some of the others I've picked out this morning that, you know, electric car for sale, electric cars for sale.uk, electric cars for sale UK. You've got electric motor vehicles.co.uk, electric motor vehicle.uk, electric powered cars.co.uk. I mean, I go through your portfolio, and knowing the electric car industry and watching it day in, day out on the telly, which I do, you know, you've got second-hand electric cars, you know, zero emission cars. I mean, I look at some of the domains that you're running with, and I just think, yeah, they're worth a few bob at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So their marketability. Anybody who's in this industry can pick up on those domains and develop them. They are good domains to develop. And as you know, it's not one or two, as you quite rightly said. There's an absolute host of domains that you've invested in. And I look at sort of 10 of them that I can look at, and I think, yeah, you know, zero emission cars. I mean, from my point of view, you once again, what a great marketing term, and what a term to stick out on the search engines. It's just fantastic. And so that's where I'm at. And over the years, you've paid us obviously to promote 𝐒𝐂𝐂𝐑𝐈𝐏𝐶𝐶, which we did. And at the same time, you've collected all these domains. So you're now left with what I personally feel is probably one of the best electric car portfolios in the country for domains. Yeah. And for any electric car dealer to sit down and be able to go through these lists and select the ones that he feels that his team can develop, it's second to none. I mean, I've just sat here for half hour this morning, and I've picked out 5, and I haven't thoroughly gone into all of them. But you know, you've got used electric motor cars, you've got used electric car sales, used electric car dealer. You've got eco vehicles, you know, just some of the ones here that I look at, I just think, because these were purchased 5 or 6 years ago, I know now that they're getting rarer and rarer for the marketing purposes. So yeah, it's a good portfolio. To put a figure on it, which is what you're going to push me for, I wouldn't like to say. It's, you know, it's what people are prepared to pay for it. But yeah, just new electric car from my point of view, and the industry and how it's developing. I mean, what's the potential advertising on that domain? It's fantastic. You know, I'm looking at your John O'Groats vehicle in the background, the Nissan Leaf, and I'm just thinking, if you could have on there www.newelectriccar.co.uk, you know, somebody's on an iPhone, or they're on whatever, you know, mobile media they're on, and they're typing that in, they're coming across your business details.
Yeah. Cool.
My point of view,
and just tell briefly the people that are watching this, the 2 websites, the 2 domains that I had from you, and you really encouraged me to put a website around the domain. Just tell me briefly what those 2 are and what the thinking was behind that.
Well, you got usedelectricvehicles.co.uk, and you've got usedelectriccars.for-sale.co.uk. The thinking was a simple one. You brought lots and lots of domains, and we have to be careful how we deal with domains and how many websites we point them to. Yeah. So the thinking was that what we would do is do standalone websites and point those domains into those websites, and regularly resubmit those domains and regularly resubmit those websites and work those websites. The idea is it would mature the domains. Yeah. And the idea being is, at the end of the day, that we mature the domains. So when you eventually retire or move on and you want to sell your portfolio, the domains that you have been matured. So if a web designer or a marketing company got hold of those domains, it would be easier for them to actually get them ranked onto the search engines and get exposure for them.
Because they've already had a head start, so to speak.
You've already had a head start on them. They've all been matured. They've been regularly worked. The idea is there are certain rules and regulations that we have to stick by, which we've done. But at the end of the day, your domains have been regularly being resubmitted. They've been registered with Google, so they are seen as safe domains. And also, at the end of the day, you know, you can literally if you buy these domains, start optimizing them and put them out onto the search engines. Yeah, there's nothing stopping you doing that. If you develop, you know, I keep going on about it, but new electric car, you know, I just look at that domain and I just think from a marketing potential, yes, you've got to invest in the domain to make it work, but from a marketing potential, I mean, what do you want? Yeah, you know, if you do new electric cars, it's pretty much on the money, isn't it?
I remember you telling me years ago as well, Fred, that if those expressions, so traditionally years ago, well, even perhaps today, people, if they're looking for a new electric car, they'll type that into a search bar, won't they?
Yes, they will do.
And that's why to get these, rather than calling it JP's electric cars, no one's going to type that in, but they will type in a search new electric cars for sale. And it's those commonly used. Now, I remember you telling me that if you wanted to use Google's pay-per-click service, where you wanted to be at the top of the results with that expression, that would cost quite a bit per click with Google, wouldn't it?
Oh, it costs thousands. Absolutely. In this day and age now, you know, without actually having Google's keyword to open in front of me, it will cost thousands. I just know that off the top of my head.
So if you have a domain that contains that commonly used typed search, you're sort of one step ahead, because A, you're not having to pay Google for the pay-per-click.
Yeah.
But secondly, it's a domain that's been sitting there, it's been matured and tweaked by you, the experts.
Well, the idea behind it is a simple one. You take on the domain, you decide that you're going to run an effective marketing campaign in this day and age around it, for argument's sake. So you want to do social media, you know, you want to do, I don't know, you might sponsor the local football club with a placard around the ground. People then start regularly, you've paid for to develop the domain and you've put it out in the search engines. People then regularly see �newelectriccars.co.uk and they start typing it in on a regular basis on Google. Yeah. Basically, what's going to happen there is the more and more times it's typed in, the more and more times it's going to be requested, the more and more times it's going to be trusted by Google. So what will happen is over time, Google will associate new electric car with the type term, new electric car. It will slowly come up the search engine rankings. And if the website's developed correctly, Google will associate newelectriccars.co.uk with other phrases related to new electric cars. So you also start coming up underneath those terms. Now, this takes a little bit of time. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to develop the website, it has to be done correctly. This is where decent website design and decent submission comes into it. And to be honest with you, Jonathan, since we've taken you on, the industry has changed exponentially as well in the way that you submit information back to the search engines. But the premise still stands. If you take on a domain like newelectriccars.co.uk, which has been matured, you then place an advertising campaign around that, you place it onto the search engines, there's a great chance that's going to succeed. Yeah, you know, what it is. I mean, to be honest, you know, it's newelectriccars.co.uk. I mean, I keep focusing down on that domain, but, you know, the reason I'm focusing down on it is over the last two years, the wife's got a Mercedes E-Class convertible. I'm driving around because I have dogs, I'm driving around in a Ford Ranger, and I'm using it primarily as a mobile kennel. But the thing is, we know, and we have been actively thinking about going to electric cars. So the reason I'm focusing on that domain is because over the last 2 years in my household, the discussions, and I've also mentioned it to yourself on occasion, the discussion has been, can we change to electric? Yeah, you know, and I look at a domain like that and I just think, well, yeah, that's a pretty, you know, it's just a fantastic domain. And that's just one. You've got eco-friendly cars, you've got electric car specialist. God, you've got a whole list of domains that you've purchased over the years that you have sat in this portfolio that for me to go through now, and someone comes to me and say, run me a campaign on new electric cars and use 2 of my designers to develop a website around that domain and then regularly resubmit it and promote it. I mean, you know, there's absolutely hundreds I could use here, to be honest with you. Yeah, you know, they're just really decent.
Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll put a big long list in the description of all 119 domains, and I've also got 4 with my old friend Jonathan Padilla from Digital Art. So I've just dug that out as well. So I've got 4 with him, but the majority, as you just heard, are with Fred, easy domains. So that's brilliant, Fred. Thank you. So There's another 117 domains.
Oh, there's honestly
there's lots. There's a lot of Tesla related. One that's just caught my eye, and I do forget what I've got, to be honest, was usedelectricmotorcars.com.
I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, what from a okay, you want to buy a used electric motor car, and let's be honest, as it develops now, and as I understand it now, electric car manufacturers particularly, the biggest issue was people didn't want to take electric cars on because of the cost of the batteries. As I understand it now, the warranties on them are being pushed further and further and further, and that risk has been taken away from that. Yeah, you know, what are you going to type in on a search engine? Used electric car. So a designer who's savvy will take a domain like that. He will develop into it, be patient with it, regularly resubmit it and optimize it to go back on the search engines. You then, as a car dealer, know that you have to advertise that. You have to get the term under people's noses to view, to use. Yeah, you start doing that. Patient with it. What a great term in today's, you know, because let's face it, the used market now, in my mind, for electric cars is obviously going to only get bigger and bigger and bigger. And you're sat on a domain like that. Yeah, you know, I hate to put the cost on a domain like that. Yeah, you know.
And as we get towards 2030 here in the UK, obviously 2030, the government have said no more vehicles with a exhaust, with internal combustion engine are going to be sold. So as we get closer and closer to 2030, which is, where are we? It's only 7 years away.
Which is nothing.
The trade,
to be honest.
Anyone that wants to sit on a portfolio, now is the time. I'm just going to say that because it sounds like I'm a salesman. Well, I am, but as I'll discuss later on after this interview with you, Fred, the reasons why I want to sell my portfolio. But that is brilliant. Really appreciate it. Freddie's great to deal with, guys. So, you know, I can't recommend them enough. They've really looked after me. I know a little bit about the internet and search engines and web domains, but not as much as these guys. So I trust them 110%. They're really good. It does come at a cost. There is a cost to host. There's a cost to optimize.
Yeah, there is.
All with regard to them actually doing what you want a website to do in the future. So
yeah, basically, obviously there's costs when you take on a domain. It's part of the package.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a good head start. You know, I know I keep going on about newelectriccar.co.uk. I just think, if you're selling new electric cars and you want to start an internet campaign, does it really get a lot better than that domain at the end of the day? Yeah, in my mind, it doesn't. Yeah, you know, and not only from an internet point of view, from a traditional marketing point of view. You know, you want to put it on the side of a vehicle, a business card, little placard, you know, on your number plate. I mean, you know, from that point of view, it just doesn't, you're not going to forget it, are you? I mean, I'll walk away from here and I'll sit here and I think, Jonathan, you're very lucky to get hold of that domain. Yeah, because I know people who give their right arm for it, to be honest with you. But there we go. But,
cool.
But, yeah.
Thank you, Fred. Really appreciate your time today. And I look forward to the day when I do see that you're in an EV. I'm going to work on you over the next few months.
No, seriously, I do understand that because I've got Great Danes. I did have an S-Max. I got fed up with the smell in the car, and the idea with the Ranger was I could get the hood on the back, so it separated the dogs from the driving cabin. And Rangers, they are pretty rural, but to be honest, I quite enjoy driving it. Yeah. Now I do understand in America the F-150s, they've produced an electric one now, and I'm being told within the next couple of years it will probably be over here. So if that is the case, I might sort of bite the bullet and get hold of one. Yeah, but they're so big, they are so big and cumbersome. It's beyond belief. But there we go. Right.
Fred, thank you ever so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. You take care, my friend.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. Cheers. You know, with the portfolio you've got now going into the industry, you can't go far wrong with that. I mean, these guys are going to need to develop websites. They're going to need marketing terms. You know, if I was going to use an analogy, I suppose the analogy I would use is WeBuyAnyCar.com. If I told you 20 years ago to buy WeBuyAnyCar.com, you'd have probably told me to clear off. Yeah, you know. But now you can't have it because the actual company's got it. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
It's the same with your electric car domains. You've brought them, you've got them. They will mature. Yeah, you know, they're maturing now. They're just good domains. I know I keep going on about it, but that new electric car, I just keep getting drawn to that. I just think you'll be phoning me from the Cayman Islands soon on that one.
So there we go. Thanks to Fred Richards for sparing the time today. to talk to me and obviously share with you his expertise in these web domains. Now, they're all listed in the description with hyperlinks, so click on them. They can take you through to either one of the 3 websites that are still active, or any of the other domains that are also pointing to my websites as well. I'll also put my email address in there, so contact me via email, and we can then exchange phone numbers and just start to have the discussion if any of these domains interest you. If you're a motor dealer, if you're a trader or you're part of a big group, then obviously I'm happy to talk to you, as well as private investors that might see this as an opportunity to invest with regards to the future. And as I said in the interview, don't forget, by 2030, here in the UK, the government have said that no more fossil fueled vehicles will be sold brand new from the factories. It's got to be electric. So we're only 7 years away. So now's the time to invest in these domains. Thanks for watching. No doubt I'll see you next time with another video about renewables, my home setup, or any long EV journeys I do. But in the meantime, have a good day. I'll look forward to speaking to you soon.